Hello and a very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch, a show that gives you all the latest news and updates from the digital ecosystem. I'm Priya Sheth. Thank you very much for logging in. Time now to get you all the top news stories that we've been tracking for you this evening. Well, first up, health tech startup HealthPlix has raised about $13.5 million in a Series B round led by Lightspeed Ventures. Now, in June 2020, the startup had raised as much as $6 million in its Series B round led by JSW Ventures. Now, HealthPlix will be using this fresh funding to grow 5x by expanding the doctor base in existing geographies, adding new towns and medical specialties, as well as bolstering its team and product. Well, moving on to the second headline of the day, Bhubaneswar-based microfinance institution Annapurna Finance has raised about $30 million as primary equity from Nuveen Global Impact. This fundraise will allow the microfinance institute to expand its portfolio by extending microcredits to women members of self-help groups as well as joint liability groups. It will also be re-engineering and digitizing its business processes to better serve its clients. Well, Chinese tech giant Xiaomi has officially confirmed its plans to enter the smart electric vehicle business. It will be investing about $1.5 billion initially in the first phase. Now, the company plans to increase this investment to a total of about $10 billion over the next 10 years. Well, moving on to the final headline of the day, reports suggest that a consortium of India's top pharmaceutical majors, including Sun Pharma, Cadila Healthcare, Lupin, as well as Torrent Pharma, are in advanced negotiations to acquire business-to-business healthcare platform PharmaRack. Now, the move is aimed at building a digital-first pharma distribution business.
Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me someone who has revolutionized the real estate or broking space. This is, of course, called NoBroker.com. And I have with me Saurabh Garg. Thank you very much, Saurabh, for joining us today on the Daily Dispatch. I want to begin by asking you about 2020 and, the kind of traction that NoBroker.com saw, considering that, house search and searching for apartments virtually has now become a thing as we speak.
Thanks, Priya, for having me on the show. So yeah, you're right. 2020 was a very different year. I think something which none of us have ever seen something like this in our lifetime. And what happened, of course, is that a lot of home search came online. A lot of offline owners and sellers who earlier used to prefer offline ways to rent or sell their house, they came online. So clearly there was a short circuit which happened. Probably what would have happened in a couple of years happened very, very quickly in like last 6 months. So yeah, I mean, when the lockdown happened in April, it was quite a standstill. There was nothing happening for almost a month. But May onwards, the recovery started, and then it started recovering very, very fast. And now we are at a pre-COVID level, I mean, much higher than pre-COVID levels in terms of owner listings, seller listings on the platform. The traction is much, much higher. And interestingly, we have seen that, lot of owners who probably have never listed at an online platform earlier, they have chosen to list on NoBroker. So yeah, it's been a pretty different but a very good year for us.
Can you quantify this kind of growth that you've seen over the last couple of months in terms of the increasing number of listings on your platform, as well as the kind of interest that you've seen in terms of more people renting out flats, etc.?
So in many places, we have seen this go up as high as 2 to 3 times. So that's the kind of growth we have seen. Specifically for buyers who are there on the platform, we have seen that this has jumped more than 3 times in the last 1 year. We are seeing a lot more buyers on the platform. I think it also has to do with the fact that a lot of people have realized the importance of owning a home. Interest rates are very low, so there is an upcycle in the primary and secondary sales. So we have seen that as a massive jump. And what we anticipate also is that going forward as well, there would be a great traction coming from this segment.
When you talk about work from home, a lot of people are, wanting to get larger homes, flats, renting out flats that are much bigger because of the need for space, specifically if you're setting up a home office. So if you can just tell us what pockets Are you seeing more traction in, for interest in for larger houses, etc.?
Sure. So I think that's a very interesting trend which we have seen in the last 7, 8 months post once things started opening up a little bit. What we saw is that now more people are saying that because work for home is going to be a reality, at least for medium term to long term. Many people are saying we don't need to stay closer to workplaces. We don't need to stay closer to IT parks. And we are seeing an increased demand from more suburban areas. And people are saying that we would like to have bigger homes. We don't have to travel every day to office, so we can afford to stay slightly away from the city. And I think because they're also seeing that in a typical household, both husband, wife, and even kids are doing online classes, so they need that much more space. So that's a clear trend where we are seeing more people moving to uh, bigger homes, moving towards suburbs. Demand is increasing towards the outer part of the city.
If you could tell us, all the new features or products that you're going to be adding onto your website in 2021, what kind of strategy are you working with?
So we always look at what are the customer problems and build the entire platform and entire products around that. So we started with rental as a service first. Then we realized that people wanted to buy and sell homes, and then we added commercial properties also. And very recently, we have also started doing primary sales where you can buy flats or apartments directly from builders. We also added something called as NoBrokerhood, which is our visitor management and apartment management app. So I think these are something which we have done in the last 1.5 years. And then I think now what has happened is we are slowly becoming a one-stop shop for all your real estate needs. So when you want to rent a home, from that time, if you want to do a legal agreement for your rental agreement, you need to move homes. So if there's a packer and mover that is required, if you need to buy a home, you need a home loan, you need interior services, you need cleaning, painting, you need to pay rent. Everything is at one place. So we are becoming a kind of a one-stop shop for your entire real estate journey. And that's what our strategy going forward in 2021 is also going to be, that keep on offering the services that customers need and make their life easier, because all these services otherwise are very unorganized and people don't know where to look for these services, and they typically end up choosing poor quality services. So there is a no broker assurance and you're able to get everything in one place.
Well, when you talk about pricing, and I was just going through your website, you have a pricing set for rentals, etc. So how is pricing determined? Do you have an internal spectrum, based on which people can, put the price for renting out an apartment, or is it just driven by what the person who's leasing out the flat is going to charge?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We have a product called Rentometer, which predicts the right price for the property. So based on its location, the apartment the apartment society where it is, the kind of area it has, I think it's more than 20-25 parameters go into that. A price prediction algorithm runs, and it predicts what would be the right price for that. And this information is available to both owners who are listing the property or the tenants who are trying to rent the property. And we've seen that typically if an owner tries to be more greedy and puts something which is over and above that price, it takes longer to rent it out. And if somebody tries to be in the similar range, the renting out is much, much faster. So I think it's an information which is available to tenant also, and they're able to find out if the property is overpriced or it is rightly priced.
Yeah, I understand that in April 2020, you all raised some amount of funding. I just wanted to understand what is plans for fundraise in 2021, and what is the quantum of fundraise that, if at all you're looking at raising, how much would you look at raising?
So over the last 1.5 years, we have raised around $80 million. We are not in a need of funding as of now. We are well capitalized, but of course we realize that India is a large market and we want to expand. We're only in 6 large cities right now. So the idea is to keep on expanding and keep on going deeper in the cities where we are. So what we are looking at is that we are not immediately looking at funding, but if a great opportunity comes, we are open to speaking to people.
Talk about expansion and the kind of growth that you expect going forward. If you could run us through what are your targets for 2022 in terms of expansion, in terms of overall growth?
So what we are looking at is we are focusing on 3-4 things for the next year. One would be going deeper in the cities where we are. So we are present in Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Delhi NCR. And in most of the markets that we operate in, we are the market leaders. But we still feel that there is a much more depth which we can get in each of these markets. So that would be the first target, to go deeper so that we are by default the best choice available to anyone who is looking for a property. Second, like I said, that the one-stop shop, I think that is again something which we really believe in. We believe that that would make the life of the consumer very easy. So we'll keep on adding products in that. For example, one thing which we added a couple of years back is pay rent through credit card, and that is something which has grown very fast and it's become pretty large now. Our package and mover services again is very large. Similarly, it's for painting, cleaning services. Third, we believe that the next 4 or 5 years are going to be very, very good for buying and selling properties, because if you look at the last 7-8 years, the prices have been quite stagnant in the property market. There has been time correction of prices. Right now, the interest rates are very, very low. And whenever the difference between the home loan interest rates and rental yield is less than 4 to 5%, we see a boom in real estate. Thirdly, there are builders who are giving discounts. There are government policies which are supporting that. So we really believe that the real estate sales cycle would be very good in the next 4 to 5 years. So we want to focus on that. So buying, selling is going to be a very important part of our next 3 to 4 to 5 years kind of strategy. So this is what we want to focus on, and that's what we're looking at.
A final question in terms of revenue, if you could give us some sort of indication as to what kind of revenues or targets you're working with for 2022, any absolute numbers that you can share with us?
So we look at the market. If you look at right now, people pay $19 billion in brokerage every year in India. That's the huge amount which people like you and me are paying every year. So we fundamentally believe that that is the market which we have. And this market, if NoBroker is not there, will become $30 billion in the next 5 to 6 years. So that's the kind of revenue potential where we are sitting. We have, in most of the years, we have grown anywhere between 3 to 5 times in our revenue, and which is what we believe will happen for the next 4 to 5 years also. And we think we have just scratched the surface right now. There is a huge potential to grow, and that's what we'll be focusing on.
All right. We'll hope that you do achieve your revenue targets that you've charted out. Many thanks for joining us on this edition of the Daily Dispatch. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Priya.
Well, time now to say goodbye. Many thanks for joining us on this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll see you as always at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Goodbye and stay safe.